Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the board meeting for Metro. It's great to have you all here. As always, we start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And after that, we always welcome hearings from citizens. And I'm delighted that we have two here to speak. Nancy,
Yes.
please.
Good evening to Ms. Crisling and members of the Cincinnati Board. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. My name is Nancy Girardi, and I live on the south end of Maple Avenue in Madeira, which is closest to Dawson. We are formally here requesting that Cincinnati Metro Planning and Operations Committee conduct an immediate route review of 2 and 61 in Madeira, Ohio, specifically its path along Maple Avenue, which is a residential street. We fully support reliable public transportation in Madeira with the broader community. However, the current routing creates a severe mismatch between actual neighborhood transit utility and local safety. Maple Avenue was simply not built for vehicles of this scale, leaving zero room to navigate safely. Please consider these critical points. Maple Avenue is a narrow residential street with on-street parking. This confines two-way traffic to a single open lane of traffic, forcing 40-foot Metro buses little room to navigate safely between parked cars and incoming traffic. There is near zero local ridership. Automated passenger count, APC, will confirm there is virtually zero passenger ridership entering or leaving Madeira. Empty buses are navigating the narrow residential street every 30 to 45 minutes from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. or later. We have two viable operational alternatives. We did have a map, but my husband left it on the porch. So the first one, if you will look at the handout that we had, and that's him right there. We have two alternatives. If you look at there's a little spot on the pictures. We want to route directly down Kenwood Road to the Dawson layover. This is a designated turn lane at the intersection of Kenwood and Dawson Roads. Dawson Road is a big two-way road with double solid yellow lines and does not allow any street parking. This alternative completely keeps Metro from navigating Madeira's residential side streets. The bus would then continue on its outbound, or inbound it's called, on Miami, turning left on Miami and then down Euclid. The other one is routing directly down Miami Avenue to Dawson Road, making a left turn, a non-residential turnaround, P-turn, utilizing the public parking footprint on Dawson Road, and then the bus would continue its journey. These minor shifts achieve a perfect solution, a solution that balances regional crosstown goals with the safety and infrastructure limits of Madeira's residential neighborhoods. Destination hubs will not be lost, and the impact on riders is minimal. Routes will continue to maintain 100% of its connections, including Kenwood Town Center and downtown Madeira. Additional stops could also be added on Dawson Road at Madeira McDonald's Common Park. Now, in my last minute, I want to just add that in the spirit of transparency, this past Friday at 4:20, I received an email from Mr. Steve Anderson, who is the Senior Director of Transit Development and Innovation. I have been emailing with him since the end of March or the first part of April. His email states that we are confident we can stop going down Maple in early December. This email, however, does not state how this will be accomplished, a new route, a detour, and we remain skeptical. In May of this year, Mr. Anderson stated that this could not be done as there were no reasonable or reliable options for maintaining service coverages and operational efficiency. So we wonder what new information has come to light. We look forward to your formal response regarding an operational review of these two, and we remain hopeful that these routes will be modified and stop going down Maple Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you. I also have Ann
Yes, Ann Mady.
Mady. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ann Mady. I live at the north end of Maple Avenue, closest to Euclid Avenue. Where I live on Maple, it is not part of the fixed route, nor is it on the posted detour that was posted on the website July 23rd. Buses, however, continue to drive down my end of Maple. I've reached out to the City of Madera and Cincinnati Metro as early as April 2025 regarding routes 2 and 6 in Madera. The reasoning other routes are not viable or information regarding the review process has not been provided or shared with us. Many drivers continue to deviate from the fixed route or the posted detour route. We've given you some pictures showing you what Maple Avenue at my end of the street looks like. But I've been reaching out, and I lost my track. I was just recently on the phone with customer service asking if Metro buses are not to follow the fixed or the posted detour routes. I was asked if Maple is not a public road. I said, yes, it is. I was asked why I even cared. It's not safe. In fact, last night, 2 cars were forced up onto the curb because Metro was trying to navigate around the parked cars. My question then to Metro was, if they're not required to follow one of these posted routes, can they choose to drive on the streets of their choosing? The response was, it's an internal issue. We completely understand, especially with Madera having construction going on, that detours need to be posted, but not all drivers are going off route. I have personally sent notifications to Metro and Mike Ryan for the route deviations for over a year now without resolution. Like I said, they continue to drive down my end of Maple Avenue. We've given you some current pictures of what it looks like on the street, and you can see how, especially the picture of the bikes, how close it is to my side of the street. I have pictures from last night when the cars were forced to go up over the curb, but unfortunately, I couldn't get those printed. So just so this all becomes part of the record, that you can log these in with my statement, and I'd really like to know if buses are required to follow their routes. Thank you for your time and consideration in rerouting 2 and 61. My neighbors and I remain hopeful that these 2 routes will be modified, removing Metro from Maple altogether. Thank you for your time. Anyone have questions? I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you coming here and delivering these comments on the proposal documents. So thank you for that. Now, I didn't read at the beginning. I'm supposed to read that the board doesn't directly respond to public comments in the meeting.
Okay.
But I think in this case, we have a response from the CEO, at least some of a response. So
Oh, thank you.
break
Thank
protocol for that for just a moment.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Really appreciate your feedback. As you know, it's tricky to find a place to turn around in Madeira, given the configuration of the road network, and that's why it's been such a challenge over the past year or so to find a resolution. We're looking at it again. What I can let you know is that we will evaluate what is possible in terms of making those turnarounds. We will try to do that without using Maple and see what's possible. Whatever the conclusion is of that analysis, if you leave both of your email addresses with us, we'll make sure you and the board of directors get the answer to that response. Any changes in that routing would be planned for our December service pick. So we have a little bit of time here to make sure that we get a solution that works for the routing of the bus and for the community. So we will be in touch, and we'll make sure that the board and the residents are sent the same communication.
Can I just say one thing, please? In our printout, you'll see if the bus continues down Kenwood and turns on Dawson, there really aren't any additional turns, and it's straight shot down to the Dawson layover. And I heard rumor that the bus drivers didn't want to turn left from Kenwood onto Dawson Road, but turning left onto Miami Avenue from Dawson is a lot worse than doing it from Kenwood. And that takes out all the turns altogether going that route. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I think I can speak.
Oh, sorry, where do we put our email addresses?
You can leave them with anybody there,
All right,
and we'll
thank you
make
so
sure we
much.
get it. Yep.
Mr. Chair, can I just ask Mr. Ayala?
Okay.
Can you explain in like
Okay.
2 seconds the December service pick, what that means? I think the average person understanding
Yes.
sort of how we do route changes and why December not turn it on.
Yeah, thank you. So we make 4 service changes a year, right? We publish schedules. Those schedules go into all of our systems, and they're communicated out to the community, and our operators pick that work. We go through a process that allows us to make service changes those 4 times a year, and that makes sure that we have the staff and the personnel, the vehicles available to do it, so on and so forth. And that's the way the routing changes get made at that cadence. So in between those 2 service changes, and we do this evaluation and see what routing changes are possible.
And I was just going to follow up that I think the whole board would like to hear the response that comes out of this. So please send it to us when it is ready.
Absolutely,
Okay.
will do.
Thank you. Now, we have a CEO Star Award tonight, and it's very exciting. I think you've heard the news about what Brianna Atkins did. And Andy, you want to tell us a little bit more about it and introduce our CEO Star?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to read this description and then say a few words and ask Brianna to come forward. Operator Brianna Akins demonstrated extraordinary compassion and courage when she encountered a child suffering from a gunshot wound while operating on her route just a couple weeks ago. After securing the bus, she immediately called 911 and used her training to perform CPR until first responders arrived. Her calm and caring presence and response during such a heartbreaking emergency has earned widespread recognition from the community. We're deeply grateful for Operator Akins and her willingness to step forward when a child urgently needed help. I had a chance to speak to Brianna the next morning, and we talked a little bit about what it means to be a metro operator, and she comes from a family with a long line of public service, and what we know is that our operators are the eyes and ears out in our community. They are brothers and sisters and neighbors and uncles and aunts and fathers and mothers, and they care deeply about everybody in our community. And I think Brianna is the example that we all hope to strive toward in terms of community service and helping others. So like to invite her up to receive the CEO Star Award.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice. All right, thank you. I want to thank you all for your support and your compassion through this time. Everybody that's reached out, Brandy, You called me, a few other people called me, gave me some resources to use as well after this tragic event. So I definitely appreciate that. I just thank God I was in the right place at the right time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just another piece in terms of the Metro family here and condolences to the family of the young boy who we've recently learned has passed from those injuries. And I think it is the heartfelt work of Brianna and others that represent the care that we have for our entire community, and just wanted to extend our condolences to the family of that young man.
Yes. Thank you. I have the CEO update, and I wanted to thank Brianna for, being an example of stepping up in a time of need and doing everything you can to help. And I don't want to take anything away from Brianna, but I think that there are a lot of operators and a lot of people at Metro that would do something similar in that situation. And I'm very proud to be associated with this organization because of what you did and what many of your colleagues would do in those situations. My goal for my comments tonight on my update was to also talk about the families and everybody who supports our staff and operators. Shifting over to the Kings Island Day that we recently have, or weekend, seeing so many of the board members, so many of the staff, so many operators, mechanics, people throughout the organization there wearing their amazing shirts and enjoying a wonderful day out. It just reminded me so much of all the support our staff gets from their families and their communities. And it was just great to see that too. So thank you, Brianna, for all you do. Thank you to everybody on the staff, all the operators, and thank you to their families for doing everything we can to support our communities. All right, I'm going to launch into the agenda for tonight. We have to approve the board minutes from July 28th. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any questions, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor say aye, or I've done
Aye.
this enough time. Is it a roll? Okay, good. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say left. Any abstentions? All right, the board minutes do pass. See, I took 1 month off, and all of a sudden I lost my confidence on the voting rules for the minutes. All right, moving into financial results for July 31st, 26th. Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Etheridge. We'll go through the profit and loss summary here for the month of July. Total revenue came in at $14.9 million, which was unfavorable, favorable to budget by $436,000, or about 3%. Most of that favorability was okay. Is it now? I can hear. Sorry about that noise. Do we start over? We'll start over. 14.9 million was the total revenue. That was favorable to the budget by $436,000, or right at 3%. Most of that favorability was driven by sales tax. That revenue came in about $520,000 favorable to budget for the month. That was offset slightly by unfavorable fare revenue to a small degree. Looking down at the expenses came in at $14.7 million. Those were unfavorable to the budget, or meaning we spent more than we expected by about $470,000, or 3.3%. Most of that unfavorability was driven across a couple line items, mainly in the wages and benefits. We've talked about the operator headcount, getting up to get to our service levels for August, along with some overtime for our operators, and also the fuel piece. Fuel came in unfavorable to budget slightly. A lot of that was driven by the high fuel price. Keep in mind, everyone, we hedge about 90% of our fuel. We hedge the diesel fuel, but we're also naked to that 10% along with any gasoline that we have. I do want to highlight the fuel hedging activities for the month. We had a positive fuel hedging result of about $340,000. So put it simply, our unfavorability would have been $340,000 greater if we had not hedged our fuel. Netting those two numbers together, you can see our operating capital contribution was about $200,000, which was slightly less than the budget. And then looking at the ridership, great news on the ridership, and as I always like to try to do, I take some thunder away from my colleagues here. The ridership was 2.5% favorable to our budget, and now the big news is about 10% greater than last year at this time. So great news on the ridership front. Next page, Natalie. We turn our attention to the full year to date here. Looking on the right-hand side, you can see that our total revenue came in at about $101.9 million. That was favorable to the budget by about $340,000 or 0.3%. Kind of the same drivers as we had for the month. Sales tax is favorable, and that's offset slightly by unfavorability on some of the revenue line items. Going down to the expenses came in at $100.4 million, which was unfavorable, or we spent more than our budget by about $850,000, or a little bit less than 1%. I do want to highlight to the group here, seeing that those variances on the revenue line and also on the expense line, compared to budget, those are all within 1%. So really good news there that we're staying close to the budget figures and in a really close, narrow range to the budgeted amounts. Going down to the bottom line, year to date, we have $1.5 million of an operating capital contribution or a surplus or profit, and that's slightly unfavorable to the budget. Staying on the fuel hedging for a second, the year-to-date benefit of our fuel hedging is $1.7 million. So absent our fuel hedging activities for the year, that 1.5 would have been a negative $200,000. So again, great that the board has given us the ability to hedge our fuel to take away the price uncertainty, and it's saving us right now with the spikes that we've had in fuel prices. Next page, Natalie. This is our standard look at the county sales tax. Thus far, we have 5 months of actuals in our sales tax right now for Metro. And you can see on the chart here, by and large, we've exceeded the budget and prior year for most of the months thus far. The last 2 months you see, June and July, we book those to the budget until we get the information from the state of Ohio. But again, we have 5 months worth of sales tax in the books right now. Sales tax does represent about 70% of our revenue, so it's great to see us favorable halfway through the year on our sales tax. The next page, Natalie. This is our standard look at the cash flow and obligation. From an operating standpoint, we had about $125 million in the bank. This we want to just highlight to everyone that while we have $125 million in the bank, we can't spend that all tomorrow. We have obligations for the remainder of this year, next year, and out years that we detail in the middle section, making certain that we do have a positive number at the very bottom. Any questions from the group here on the financials? Thank you, everyone.
Hearing none, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Oh,
Would
Casey?
like to ask a question about the electric buses we have. Are the electric buses, are they hybrids? Are they 100% electric? And also to operate the electric buses, is it significantly different or lower than the gas buses?
So we have in our fleet, the bulk of our fleet are diesel, clean diesel buses. The next largest segment of buses are hybrid. So those are diesel electric hybrid buses. And we probably have somewhere between 25 and 50 hybrids at this point in our fleet. And then we now have 6 electric buses, 2 of which are in service. And so we have a very small number of electric buses. We used clean fuel dollars at the federal level to purchase those electric buses, and we're learning how they operate and how their range works and how they're doing in service. And we can bring a report back to the board, kind of give you a sense of the fuel savings that we would have over the lifetime of those vehicles. But they're brand new in service. They just went into service this calendar year, so we're still learning.
All right, thank you.
And sometimes we've heard that those hybrids can operate purely electric for periods during the operation. So that's kind of a fascinating and very successful technology. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I actually thought the same thing as he was going through the financial reports about that question, Casey. So thank you. Anybody else? All right. Thanks again for the financial report and results. We have some procurement actions. So let's go right into the Bond Hill garage expansion.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Etheridge. We have 2 procurements to bring forward this month. Both of them were competitively bid. The first one is with the Bond Hill expansion for the electric vehicles that Mr. Smith just questioned. For this proposal, it's for A&E work. We had 12 firms targeted. We've received proposals from 5, and Richard L. Bowen was selected as the recipient there. That's budgeted local capital for that one. The second item was another competitive bid for solicitation, and this was really for miscellaneous body parts. We targeted 24 vendors, 3 bids were submitted, and Muncie Transit Supply was the vendor that was selected. Again, these were two procurements for this month, and both were competitive. Any questions from the board?
Is there a chance to explain a little bit more about the Bond Hill expansion? I see the award amount there, and would just like to understand more what that is. It's over a longer duration than I might expect. So just could you explain that more?
This is architecture and engineering work for the full Bond Hill garage area. This is the beginning of the work that we're going to be doing for this. The rest of the project will be a longer timeline. This is the initial work to begin the construction.
Yeah, the timeline in terms of the term, there's design work that goes into this project. And then also, as the design work moves into creating construction documents and then construction management, there's a tail for the architecture and engineering work.
And the outcome of this specific work is?
To create construction plans for an expansion of the Bond Hill facility, which will allow us to accommodate more articulated 60-foot buses.
Okay.
Yes, and to mostly in the maintenance side of the facility there in terms of the vehicles, being able to work on those vehicles more efficiently. And that's where we would envision parking the articulated buses that will be used for bus rapid transit.
Right.
So my apologies to the board. I misspoke and said electric vehicles instead of articulated. My apologies.
For some reason, I heard what you meant instead of what you said.
Sorry, I believe I said electric, but my apologies there.
Well, great. So this is absolutely necessary for the BRT project.
Can I just add a couple of things here? Yeah,
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. We've already secured about $8 million for construction grant from OKI a couple of years ago. So this is kind of the design work to get there. And the main purpose of the expansion is, as you very well know, Bond Hill is a very, very, very old facility that's lacking in so many different ways, whether it's in the maintenance area, in the storage area as well. So this effort is really to make expansion, to improve upon the facility itself, so we can better service our current buses as well as the future buses that we're gonna get into this facility. But that's the main purpose of it.
Does it take entirely different bays to service a 60-foot articulated bus?
I mean, different type of buses require different facilities, whether it's the bay, the lifts, and other spare parts and so on. So that's the kind of work that's going to go into the design of that expansion, is to make sure that we are ready for the future. Whatever type of vehicle that we envision in our fleet, including to make sure that we have enough space if we decide to, get electric buses, in the future, so we still have some additional space to expand in that way. Part of that effort is also to improve upon some of the areas for storage, washing, the buses and so on.
Great. So thinking forward as usual. Great. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Sorry for taking the floor for so long there. Okay. And I think the other procurement is part of a more expansive project for managing the parts and is going very well. Right?
Yeah, you've seen over the last 4 years a lot of volatility in our vehicle parts. The combination of inflation and tariffs and all of those things have sent our parts budget a little bit unfavorable over the last few years. This is just that continued effort to lock in pricing for a lot of the parts that we use on a regular basis. The maintenance team has worked with the finance team to kind of create a matrix. What are the most parts that we use by number and spend? And they're attacking those first and having competitive bid process to where we can lock in pricing for a long time, as opposed to what we do now, which is we kind of spot price those on a daily basis. So it's to help with budget certainty and allow us to plan a little bit more effectively for our part spend.
Great.
Mr. Chair. Just real quick on this one, the difference between the vendor we selected and the other two is pretty significant. It's almost I can't do math on the spot, but it's almost $80,000. What's driving that discrepancy? Is it just pure competition or is it something else? On the
Mr. Metz, which one are you referring to?
I'm referring to we're on the bus replacement parts, right? The Muncie Transit Supply versus Gillig or aftermarket parts.
It'd be just truly competitive bidding.
Okay.
That's all it is. Yeah, same parts.
Okay.
I always like to reiterate that last year we had this conversation when we were, stop laughing, Bill. We had this conversation and loving the numbers so much, that was a serious concern point with the fluctuation of all these things that we have to have on a regular basis and trying to get that price certainty. So you promised us that we would see fixed pricing and that this would be happening. And so this is a second or third wave of these that we've seen for procurement. And so thank you so much for you and the team for going out and really being active and trying to bring these bids back so that we can get our numbers stabilized. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Normally, when we have these items coming out of committee, we can vote for the entire block all at once. Can we do that this evening?
Yes, you may.
Well, we would need a motion first, unless there's any other questions.
I move to approve as recommended.
All right.
I'll second.
Properly moved and seconded.
Ms. Amat?
Yes.
Mr. Bryce?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Driehaus?
Yes.
Mr. Etheridge?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Metz?
Yes.
Ms. Moss? Yes. Ms. Sheets?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Motion passes. Let's move on to briefing items. We have 5 of them, or 4 and possible new business. And it's exciting to have the good news this evening. Take it away.
All right, so these are June Silverware Award recipients. We're going to start with Murby Curtis, who is the Leadership Award winner. Murby is a communications supervisor. She works in the marketing and communications area, and she's being recognized for the planning she did recently. We had our annual Safety Awards luncheon, which recognizes our operations and maintenance employees for all the great things they do and how they maintain the safety of operations in the organization. And just all the time she put in the planning and just her attention to detail, and just she's been a great partner for operations in pulling that event off. So congratulations to Murby. Next we have admin employee Todd Christensen. Todd is an IT specialist. He spends a lot of the time in the garages working with and ensuring that the systems in the garages, he's there to help troubleshoot if issues arise, and just being a great support to the organization and operations out there in the garages as it relates to our IT equipment, keeping the system running and functioning. And his desire to assist everyone just goes above and beyond. So congratulations to Todd. Next, we have Queensgate operator Ashley Thompson. Ashley has just been with us a couple of years, but Ashley is being recognized for her exemplary service and teamwork that she showed during this year's Pride Parade. And she really stepped up to support all the post-event cleanup and transportation of the equipment and just ensuring the event was successful. And just, her initiative and reliability and collaboration just really strives to show and exhibit how successful she is and a part of the organization. She wants to ensure the success of the organization, I should say. Excuse me. And then we have Queensgate maintenance employee Nicholas Stanfield. Nicholas is being recognized for his teamwork. He goes above and beyond when other employees are out. And is just always willing to lend a hand. He will take over repairs when an employee is not there to get some work completed or needs help. And just the great things he does to ensure we keep a safe working environment. And so congratulations to Nicholas. Next, we have Bond Hill operator Leroy Davis. Leroy has been with us just a few years and is being recognized for his exemplary teamwork, and during the month of June, he had 833 time points and a 99% on-time performance. And again, he's only about a 3-year operator. And so he is always super positive, greets everyone, always willing to assist those in need. And so his attitude and positivity, he just goes above and beyond. So congratulations to Leroy. And then we have Bond Hill maintenance employee Stephen Hill. Steve has been with us about 20 years, so he's a longtime employee, but his work ethic and the work he puts into the team and his education of diesel repair and work is just above no other. He really has set himself apart in terms of being able to repair the diesel buses and the work he does to help his peers as they learn the diesel repair work, especially the newer mechanics. And then finally, we have access employee Richard Barwick. Richard is a driver with us, and Richard is just being recognized for his willingness to help out. There was an issue recently with fuel. And he took the time to make sure that because we were low on some fuel to show his knowledge, and he was really thorough with ensuring that he captured all of the opportunities that existed. He was proactive in gathering all the information that we needed to address the problem, and it was done very expeditiously, and he was made sure that the rest of the team was aware of what had taken place, and very calm in his approach, and everything was resolved quickly and easily. So again, thank you to Richard and all of the June Silverware Award winners. Blake has already talked about Family Day a little bit. We had a great time at the beginning of this month at Kings Island with our employees and their families. I think everyone had a great time, lots of food. It was I think this is about our 4th year doing this at Kings Island, so it has been really great, and families come out strong. We had several pavilions this time because we have so many employees and family that come out, and this year we took the initiative to make sure that for those who had to work, because we do have to continue our operations over the weekend, so for those who have to work or had to work over the weekend, we made sure that they're provided tickets that they can go later on. They have up until like about October to take advantage of that with their family. And so, again, it was just a great time, as Blake has already mentioned. Thank you, all board members who were able to come out and participate with us and support our employees and their families.
Good evening. I get the privilege and honor of recognizing Brett Isaac, who is here with us tonight, and Brett has been promoted to Director of Safety, Security, Operator Training, and is also our Chief Safety Officer. Brett spent many, many years with the Cincinnati Police Department, as you all know.
And the fun thing about Brett is when you walk around with him downtown, he knows everyone. He knows everyone, and everybody knows Brett, and it's always a positive experience. So congratulations, Brett. So last Wednesday, we got right back to it. CPS is back in session, along with many of the other schools that we also touch upon. We drive through school zones, we drive past schools, we get all of the extra congestion that goes with that as everybody gets their kids back in school. But for us, a big focus is those Cincinnati public school students as they come back to school and start riding our buses. So that started last Wednesday, and I'm here to report that it has been fantastic. Our quality of life team for Government Square has been working really hard all summer long to prepare for this. Our partners of CPS, CPD, 311, the Collaborative, 3CDC, the city, and even CPS has had staff with us. So if you've walked past Government Square, you've seen, I think we've outnumbered the students a couple of times on the platform, but it has gone fantastic. We've extended that quality of life program towards Northside Transit Center, which is also a big hub for us, as well as Oakley and even Glenway Crossing. We've had our own internal staff out there as well, and some of our administrative folks have gotten the opportunity to engage with our customers, our CPS customers, but also our regular customers. So it's gone really well. The numbers continue to ramp up. A lot of students don't get their pass right away, so we allow them to ride, and they're at school getting their passes. We've also allowed the parents to ride through tomorrow, so we've seen some of those parents helping some of the younger students through. So it's been a success story for us. Thank you.
Good evening. Tomorrow is a big day celebration as we will be cutting the ribbon on our newest Metro Now on-demand zone in Bond Hill. So we hope that you can join us. It is 10 a.m. tomorrow at the Community Action Agency. We'll be joined by State Representative Ashley Bailey Bryant, as well as Vice Mayor Kearney, Commissioner Dumas, the CEO of the Community Action Agency, Mark Lawson, will make remarks. And of course, our very own Blake and Andy as well will talk about the service and the impact it has on our community. So it is a community celebration. We will have information there. There will be Metro Now swag. Anyone who's interested can come and learn about what Metro Now is, how to connect to our fixed route with the service, and all the things Metro Now. So we hope that you will join us for that. On the screen, you'll see a map of the zone to get a little bit of a concept of where it covers. And of course, if anyone has any questions about what Metro Now is and where it goes, they can feel free to go to our website. There is a page that has all the information about the service, as well as our other 4 zones. And the zone will begin service on Sunday, August 30th. So we hope to see you there tomorrow.
Mr. Chair, can I ask you a question about this? This is awesome, and I admit to having not appreciated just how big this zone is. I mean, this runs from the Kennard Kroger all the way to Wyoming, and that's great. It covers all of St. Bernard, all of Elmwood Place, parts of multiple city neighborhoods, and then these 2 communities. The name throws me a little bit because it's so much more than Bond Hill. Like, how are we making sure that if I'm like, this reminds me of the Dial-A-Ride in St. Bernard from my childhood. Like, this is a real asset to so many more communities than just Bond Hill and Roselawn. How are we thinking about the messaging of that so that folks know, like, if you live in Spring Grove Village, you can actually go to the Kroger in Spring Grove Village, and that's not Bond Hill and Roselawn?
Fantastic question. We have reached out to and invited each of the community leaders in each of the neighborhoods that it goes to, as well as the local businesses and schools and churches. They've all received invitations to join us to learn about the zone. We're also, on the great recommendation of Chelsea, I think prior meeting, we're working with those municipalities to identify what newsletters they have in their communities that we can send out things, as well as direct postcards that are mailed to each of the residents of locations in that zip codes of those zones. So those are a few of the things that we are doing to try to reach all the residents, the community leaders, as well as the businesses and churches and all that sort of thing. Okay, thank you. And then the next slide, I will talk a little bit about our recent promotion. July was super busy for Cincinnati, lots of activity with the new opening of the convention center. With it, brought a lot of people to the city. and a lot of major events. So thankfully, over the past few years, we have significantly improved our service, as you all know. And in January, you all approved a new ad contract with a new ad agency, Gatesman. And so we were ready and well positioned. HR has done a great job of recruiting, getting us the drivers, so our service is super reliable. And so when all these fantastic events came to town, we were well positioned to promote our service and meet the needs and the demand. And I'm proud to say that on the screen are a few snaps of some of the digital ads that we did to target the Black Music Walk of Fame, the Cincinnati Music Festival, the conclave that came. There was also sporting events and music concerts and so many things in between. And so we were very targeted and specific in our marketing approach to each of these. And in July, we saw a boost in ridership, 3% above budget and 10% higher than the prior year. And to just pull those numbers out a little further, looking at the music festival, which brings about 40,000 people to the city, we saw a 11.2% increase in our ridership on that Saturday, which is like the big day in town. And on the FC game, which was a few days later, we saw about a 5.5% increase. So we're really just excited to see these numbers move. And I think it's a testament to the work that our planning department has done and building up our system to go where it needs to go. And the teams that make our service shine every day in operations, showing up with great customer service, all of that tied in with our marketing and everything else that we do to make Metro amazing, really had great results and over those 2 weekends in Cincinnati. So I want to thank you for your investment in our marketing contracts and our organization as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I have a quick question for Brandy. You all have done a fantastic job with those outreach efforts. Is there a button or a link of some kind that when someone is purchasing a ticket for the FC Cincinnati, that they see that they can utilize Metro or get a one-day pass or something? Do we have links to all of these events? Is that one of the marketing techniques that happened?
So there is not a link that tied to tickets, but what we did were digital ads. So if anyone is searching FC, you know how maybe you've searched for shoes and then every time you get online, you're seeing an ad for shoes.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
So very similar. We have tapped into all the digital tools that if anyone is looking at FC game and maybe looking at how to get there, there's going to be an ad that pops up that says you can go Metro, and we'll keep following them and suggesting to take a Metro. And we did similar with the other events. In addition to the digital, we also do marketing and partnerships with them. So when you're at an FC game, you may see a Metro ad pop up on the screen, the same with the Reds and so forth. And of course, at the Music Fest, we had a video that we played. So there was tens of thousands of people there that we were constantly reminding them throughout the day to take Metro. We want to be your way to go. When they sent out the blast to the city and all their social posts, our logo and information on how to get there was Metro. So we were really excited to have those partnerships, that they were also pushing us as a way to go, in addition to our traditional tools and some new tools that we've added through marketing.
I love that. Is it possible to get us on these independent websites for the events as an additional partnership layer so that it's even more direct? Is that possible?
We would definitely take that back to our ad agency and see what we can do and look at all the opportunities. All right, thank you.
You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Yep. Can I ask, Brandy, were you on the stage this year for the music festival?
I was not on this year. I let our videos play and tell the story for us, but I will definitely look forward to being there next year. Excellent. Thank you.
I have a question in regards to, because of all the people coming to the city and taking advantage of just tapping your credit card and not having to go with an app. Where are we with that?
So our first step in that, if you recall, that is the next step in the evolution of our fare collection system in order to have what the industry calls that open payment that allows you just tap a Visa or tap an Amex or tap your phone to pay without an app. In order to do that, if you recall, we had to retrofit or replace all the readers on all of our buses. So those readers are on order. I don't know, John, if you have a more detailed update on where we are with Masabi, who's our vendor there.
Yeah, that project continues to be on schedule in terms of delivery of the readers, making sure the installers are ready. They've assessed the fleet and gone through the details of really where specifically are we going to mount this reader, all the hardware to be installed to make sure that that happens. That project is on schedule. We're looking to complete installation in October. So first step, these things are functional, integrated system-wide. Then we'll focus on turning on the smart card technology so you can preload money for Metro fares. And then right after that, making sure that all of the integration and software behind the scenes is ready to turn on open payment probably early part of next year. Thank you.
I have to say, I wasn't as excited about open payment, not that I was opposed to it. And then when traveling recently, I was able to do it. Oh, it's nice. So thank you for that question, and keep asking that question because it could really be a game changer. So spectacular. Well, thank you very much for the good news. Does that mean we get to talk about how the ridership's going now? Because I don't think it's come up in the meeting yet. I hope you guys can tell us about the ridership. Mr. Shamut.
I'll try to make it a little bit more exciting as well, add more excitement to it. So as you've heard, at least half dozen times, which is great, which is good.
It is good.
You know, we're happy with that. Yeah. Especially based on what you heard from Brandy, that it takes a whole village to make things work, right? It's not just the planning. Of course, you have to have really good system network, but it's also the marketing of that service and delivering the service, on time and not missing trips and so on and so forth. So all of that's been paying dividend. As you can see here, in July of this year, we carried almost 1.1 million passengers or trips, 3% higher than budget and almost 10% higher than last year's July. The interesting thing is, in July we had 23 weekdays. 15 of those 23 weekdays, we carried over 40,000 passengers. And this is July, when everybody's on vacation, no schools, and so on. So that's fantastic. Another nugget, which is, I should keep it for next month, but I'll just go ahead and share it right now because it's about August. We just started the Route 70. It's a brand new route that goes through Uptown and connects, the UC campus Uptown with Blue Ash. And we just started the service literally a week ago. And for the past 3 weekdays, I'm mixing things up now. So yesterday, we carried 1,090 passengers on that route. That's just phenomenal in one day. Going back to the entire system, I can say that since last Thursday, Friday, and yesterday, Monday, our ridership is over 50,000. Yesterday was 54,000. So this is great. Yeah. All right, let's see if we can beat the next slides. Next slide, please. Access ridership, again, almost on budget. 15,400 ridership compared to budget of 15,800, and almost as much as we carried last July of last year. Again, Access is an on-demand service. It is what it is. Depending on when individuals want to use this service, it's available for them. In terms of year to date, we're almost on budget, 105,000. We're just 0.4% of budget. Next slide. On Metro Now, we carried just over 15,000 trips in July. Much lower than expected in terms of budget, but as expected, greater than last year because we've introduced new zone and ridership has been growing compared to last year. In terms of productivity,
again, with good ridership, you would expect productivity to improve, and that was the case on the local service. Productivity was 14.4 passengers per hour, higher than the budget of 14 passengers per hour. On Express, it's still on the high end, but not to the budget. The Express productivity was 9.3 passengers per hour compared to 10. Access kind of slipped a little bit at 1.78 passengers per hour compared to the budget of 2. And for the Metro Now, for the mature zones, it's 3.3 passengers per hour. And with that, I'll turn it over to Bill.
Did we mention ridership in July? So now you get to see one of the impacts of that ridership in July. As ridership has been continuing to increase every month, we continue to be challenged with on-time performance because many of our route schedules are still based upon some of the ridership that we're having. So it's a good problem for us to have. We continue to work on it. We'll be looking at that hard as an organization with the December run cut. Buses stop more frequently. There are more people riding the buses, so that has an impact on fixed route on-time performance. One thing we do look at is we also look at the distribution. It's not on this chart, but we look at the on-time window. Right now, it goes to 5.5 minutes late on departure is on time. If you take that to just under 8, on-time performance increases to about 88%. And then if you increase that window to just under 10, we get to about 91, 92%. So our delays are right there, right outside the window, which is almost always an indicator of increased traffic and increased ridership and our continued focus on safety every day, every trip. So you'll see that in this chart. Access on-time performance continues. I'm sorry.
May I ask a quick question? I can't recall the timing that we go on to determine if we need to change the stop times based on if we have increased ridership where we change those new times. I can't remember what the timing is of that or what triggers it
it's
by
the 4 times
percentage.
a year. We do those run cuts 4 times a year. Yeah.
Okay.
So we can make those schedule adjustments at each one of those periods. So it'll be December.
So will
The
December,
planning department is actually going to deep dive into this through the fall for the December pick
Okay.
to improve the OTP. You're asking exactly the right question. Yeah.
per the usual. I'm just, so, but seriously, so for December though, do we also look ahead of schedule and look at what happens if we're seeing these ticks, especially for these events for July that keep populating? Does that influence that route timing prior to us having to kind of take a deep dive in it? Do we kind of bake that in and look at it 6 months in advance as well?
You try to do both, right? You try to look at what those trends have been and then what we think those projections will be. What we hope, obviously, is that we continue to trend in this direction and we have to continue to deal with increased ridership. Yeah. So that was fixed route. Access is strong. We saw that just a second ago. And then Metro now is also strong on the on-time performance. As we move to fixed route service reliability, we may have had our best month ever, certainly since we've been tracking this and certainly for a long time at 99.7%. Was really a fantastic month of being at full staff for operators and having the fleet available and really everybody focused on delivering our service. Customer service is a reflection of that. We are really close to our goal. We've got, that's like 4 months in a row of being able to improve on that and reduce the number of customer service reports that we receive. Fixed route miles between mechanical service interruptions, we're better than we were last year, not where we want to be. We continue to work on that. We've had a hot summer, thankfully. It's cooling off a little bit in August, and we're catching up on that work, but it continues to be a long-term plan for us. And that's the service quality for July. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Trent?
This is a question probably Haled back to you. So we introduced one route
it unlocked an additional 2.5% of demand across the entire system. Was that all latent demand? Did we cannibalize? And then I'm also curious, without going too deep, like what was the planning process that led us to identify that?
So that's a very unique situation in which there's existing demand. The route connects Blue Ash to Uptown, but it also more specifically connects the UC Blue Ash campus to the Uptown campus. So there was already a connection there. This is the service that we're providing as part of a holistic package with the University of Cincinnati. So this is also bringing in about $1 million of revenue a year for us in terms of both the package to provide service to connect those two campuses and also the ability for their students, faculty, and staff to ride for free. So this is something we've been working on, this relationship, for years, and this is the next step in that relationship, and it's so far so good.
If I may just add, thank you, Andy. Just want to make clear that we introduced 3 new routes in August, and Route 70 was just one of the 3.
Yeah, but that particular route was the one that unlocked more than 1,000 riders, but I understand now it makes sense. You're connecting the campuses, and so.
And quite an exciting thing too. I think I've used that word a few too many times this evening, but it's a great route that got set up. And transportation can be a huge barrier to access to education, and providing this transportation, I think, is great for helping out a lot of people who are trying to access either campus. So I like hearing those numbers. I'll say you guys should not tell me about daily numbers and knowing recent numbers, because you might find I start asking about those instead of waiting for the month-end report. But as long as they're good, I really appreciate it. Okay, a direct feed. Don't tell me that. Metro Rapid update. I know so much going on, a lot of technical things. Please take it away.
Great, thank you. Well, I am going to go over a couple of the key things that we've been doing over the last 2 months and bring you up to date. Next slide. Of course, our public engagement and outreach continues. We have been at a number of events throughout the city. It's been a great summer. We've had our booths out and folks talking with individuals. Have you heard about BRT? It's coming. If you want to find out more, sign up here so that we can continue to share the good news with you. And then we've been all over the city. Pride event, Finley Market, Mount Healthy, UC Orientation Day, Health and Safety Day out in Mount Healthy, Farmers Market, pop-up, Juneteenth Jam in North College Hill, and Juneteenth at Eden Park. Next slide. We also have done a couple of presentations to community councils. These were community councils that we were either not able to get into earlier this year when we were doing our updates, or they had specific questions that we came back to them with. And then we are going to be talking with the Steer Rider Advocacy Group on Thursday night. We have an event, the State of Metro event, on September 22nd. We will have our outreach team at that event as well. And then we are meeting with the North Avondale Neighborhood Association, which is their community council, on the 8th, and Small Business Opportunities and Connections. This one is different than all the others on the page. September 30th, we are going to have our CMAR contractor at this event, and we will be specifically networking the skills and trades necessary for our CMAR contractor to be able to construct the BRT project. So it's really the opportunity, if you know someone in a small business in areas, we have a whole list of different skills that we need and materials, and we will be connecting people at that event. Next slide. We have made it to 60% design, yay, on Reading, and that is a big burden. So we are happy to have crossed that milepost, and we are now making our way to the next one, which is 90% design. And we're looking at wrapping that up by the end of this year. So we have also shared the 60% design set with the city of Cincinnati, and we've had a walkthrough with them of the plans so that they have an understanding of exactly of what is included in that. We have also brought in peers from the different consulting design firms that we have to do a value engineering exercise. And we completed that. We have several recommendations to review and then make a decision on whether we're going to incorporate some of those changes or not. And then we have all of the comments from Metro have also been provided to the consultant, and we will have a final meeting with the city of Cincinnati on September 9th for the 60% comments. And most of their comments so far are in line with the comments that we've expected throughout. So that has been a great collaboration with the city. So we'll continue that. We are still waiting on getting out of this environmental review process. FTA has had some staff limitations in their legal review. We have been waiting now, I think we're on week 9, for the final legal review for environmental. Once that environmental review is completed and we have the approval, we will be able to move to a very important next phase, which will also become our critical path, and that is acquiring right-of-way. So we have worked really hard to not buy full parcels of land, but we have known throughout that there would be some small areas at the back end of our stations or at curbs where we have ramps for the corners. And on this image here, the blue would be showing kind of how we're going over that purple right-of-way line just a little tiny bit. So we're talking of slivers of property that we would need to talk with each property owner and compensate them for that additional amount. So we're talking 2 feet, very small amounts of property. Certainly not in the range of 10 and 20 feet into someone's property area. So it's really more horizontal along the sides of the roadways where we have to fit our stations in. So we have 19 partial acquisitions that are for the stations themselves. 15 of those are for the corner ramps. 23 are for general road widening where we just didn't have enough road for either a curve or the lane width in itself. And so all of those property acquisitions are guided by federal law, and they all have to be completed in accordance with the Uniform Relocation Real Properties Act. So this process allows for us to have 3 market assessments to get to a price and then begin negotiating with the property owner on that price. And then they also have the right, if they wanted to have an independent reviewer of that property, bring that in and into that negotiation as well. So that is a process that will take some time, but it is protecting with the federal laws. And then once we have the property acquired, it would then be turned over to the city of Cincinnati to be placed in their public road right-of-way. So we would not continue to keep and maintain that property. It would go over to the city as public right-of-way. Next slide.
A couple of questions about this. One,
sure.
Is there a place, or can we have access to the full map
You have sort of this snippet here, up and down Reading Road. I don't know if that's already been produced yet.
We haven't produced it for the sole purpose of right of way, but we can certainly work towards that. And it is something that we also want to bring out to the public at our fall outreach activities, so that if we have property owners come, we'll have someone there with the maps and a computer to be able to look it up precisely.
My other question, thank you for that, is really around the, I don't know, maybe some education for board members or folks that may be asked
Absolutely.
about this process. I think that this presentation is definitely a good start, but if we don't receive education, who should we direct folks to? And I'm saying that because a couple of us live in the neighborhoods that may be impacted. And that's often how it happens. People just walk up to you and say, hey.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can always refer them to me or to Sharon.
Okay.
And then we can route them to the exact parcel and page if they have a question. The plans, the detailed plans with all of the station locations are on our website, on the project website. They've been on there for a long time.
Okay.
But as Sharon said, you can't really discern from those plans exactly how many, where that little sliver of right-of-way might be a take compared to the city-owned right-of-way line. So we'll get that separately in time for the fall outreach. But yeah, send people our way. Send them to the website. It has a ton of information. But if they need a conversation, send them to me or Sharon, and we'll take care of them.
Perfect. Thank you.
We will also be putting together a letter for each of these, it's 57 different property owners. It will have a letter, and then it will have a map similar to this that is very specific to their property. So I guess the good news is if you get a letter, then you would be part of the acquisition. And the good news is if you don't get a letter, then you don't have to worry about it at all.
Is that going out in fall as well?
As soon as we get environmental review finalized, we will be ready to hit that.
Thank you.
Can I ask a follow-up question on that? So, Sharon, based on all the engagement we've done around station locations, been in neighborhoods, what percentage would you guess of folks who own some of these properties do you feel like you've had conversations with? I mean, I'm not asking for a precise number, but like in that engagement, how often have you interacted with the property owners, do you think? Or will this be the first time for a lot of these folks that they're really engaged in this process?
I think it's probably about 50-50. I think we'll have some people who have been engaged and have been out, or we've gone and knocked on their door as a business owner that we're planning on putting a station in the proximity here. And I think there's probably another 50% that have no idea.
That's helpful. Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions on this slide, or? All right, TOD.
Great.
Yep.
All right. And the last slide is we have been working on the transit-oriented development framework document. It has been delivered to us here at Metro. This document is the one that we've really been working on for the last 6 to 9 months. And the document looks at each of the individual station areas for both corridors and identifies the market either readiness or if the land use there is supportive. It also identifies if there are areas that aren't quite market ready, what types of things need to be done to catalyze development in those areas or redevelopment. I'll focus on that. We always talk about development is good, but there's also a lot of neighborhoods involved. So when we talk about neighborhoods, we want to make sure that those are consistent with the city of Cincinnati's neighborhood planning work that they're doing. So we've also worked with the city in the planning department on this document. And we have supported the city in their next step, which would be taking this document and helping to implement and incorporate the station area plans or develop station area plans based on the market data that's in this report. And hopefully they will get that grant. We helped provide them information and a letter of support, and we are still waiting to hear if the city is successful in that grant application. But that would take us to the next level. I am the holdup on finalizing the review of this, and then Paula and I will need to sit and go through it page by page and make sure that it's ready for publication. As soon as that happens, then we'll provide everybody here a copy of the report.
I think everybody would be very excited to receive that report. So please proceed.
It's good stuff.
I have just a clarifying question in regards to slide 4 around the small business forum that you're putting together. Is that specifically for businesses affected by the bus stopping in that area? Who is that?
That is for, let's see, electricians, people who provide lighting, concrete providers,
To work on the project.
materials
getting
fabricators.
the input from the business community that will be affected by rapid transit?
So we have included them in each of our outreach and our public information sessions that we've done. We've had 3 different rounds of open houses. But as we move forward, we're in the process of preparing a public engagement plan from this point forward through construction. And so one of the things that we've talked about is our construction team being in the corridor with a stop where someone could come in and ask questions, what's happening. We also have a new website that's going to be rolled out in the next couple of weeks. And in that website, it will have construction updates, like where's our construction crew, what's happening this week. There's still a lot of information that we have to get to before we can get that granular. Right now, it's like, are we starting here on the south end? Are we starting on the north end? Are we working to the middle, or how, So we're analyzing all of that, and if there's cost differences to really identify the best way to construct the project. But we definitely want a hotline for folks to be able to call into about the construction. We'll have the website, and then we will have meetings throughout the corridor with businesses to make sure that we retain their entrances to their businesses during construction. And we'll find workarounds at times, like if there's only driveway access here, then we may need to put in a temporary drive access to be able to retain business access.
What about parking? Do we work with the city in regards for parking to go into businesses?
Correct. So at each round of the design, as we've gone from, a line on a map all the way through 30 and 60% design, parking has been shown on each of the plans, where parking would be retained, where we might need to remove some parking. And so that's been central to the design and the discussion all along. So the city is well aware of every single spot as it exists today in the plans. And then we have you've heard previously, we have a third-party agreement with the city that will talk about what happens with lost parking revenues and things like that. Mm-hmm. So parking is fundamental to the project, and it's been a thread throughout.
Thank you.
All right, and I was incorrect. The TOD was not the last slide. That was a different presentation I gave. We have only a couple more. I know we're running short on time, but wanted to also report back that in the last 6 to 8 weeks, the BRT leadership team visited different cities that have BRT. We had done that early on during the planning phase, and we went to some new agencies and different agencies and talked about construction specifically, how to communicate with businesses during construction, um, lessons learned from a design standpoint and materials, how to deal with graffiti and glass breakages and all of those things. So we really focus on safety, security, maintenance operations, transit signal priority. I mentioned marketing and communications, and we also got to experience different methods of fare payment and collection. So we'll talk about that on the next slide. Just some high-level takeaways of things that we learned while we were on the trip. Number one, safety is always our most important thing, right? It doesn't stop with putting service out on the street and making sure that we operate it in a safe way. People will not ride transit, even if it's a nice, new, sleek, beautiful BRT, if it's not safe and if they don't feel safe at the stations and on the vehicles. So we heard that as a theme from all of the transit agencies that we went to. And of course, we've done a lot of work to make sure that we don't have a lot of visual clutter on our stations so that they're very clean and clear and that people don't have places to hide. And we've incorporated other safety elements into all of our stations like we have at the transit centers. So that was the number one thing that we heard. We also heard that the bus lanes, whether they be true bus lanes or bus and turn lanes, are really the heroes, that and transit signal priority. We heard, that is the backbone of BRT. That's what helps get us the faster service that will be more attractive. And we saw and counted that boarding and alighting of the BRT vehicles was less than half than a normal vehicle. We did also
Less than
hear
half the time?
half the time
Yeah, okay.
to get on. Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to clarify.
So, sorry, and one of the agencies said 7 seconds was their average, which is incredible. 30 seconds is normal for about a regular fixed route bus. It can be longer than that if they have to kneel or put out the ramp.
With ridership so much the topic, I think some people might have thought that was a negative about ridership. That's where the
I'm
origin
so
of the
sorry.
question.
Oh, yeah, about half. No.
Yeah.
We did hear ridership increases system-wide with BRT. So not only the BRT trunk line itself, but then the connectivity to that. And so the Bond Hill Metro Now zone being introduced, that's fabulous. We also heard open payment systems was a game changer. That's a quote from one of the FICs that we went to. Apps are great, but the being able to use the open payment, we've heard more increases in ridership because people can just walk on and go boop and pay for that. And then fare enforcement, some agencies were very lackadaisical about fare enforcement, meaning anybody could ride and it was up to that honesty of punching and paying as you get on. And then there were others that had armed security guards on it. So it's really a very different environment depending on how much money you want to spend to make sure that everyone that's boarding is indeed paying. We also talked a lot about upfront cost versus long-term operating and maintenance cost. They mentioned things like cleaning of the station itself. So the point was make sure that everything that you put in the public domain is able to be sprayed down and that it has good sealants on it so that you're protecting everything. If not, you're going to have to come back and make modifications as you go, or you're going to have to paint over more graffiti and all of those things. But we did hear ridership increases system-wide. So that was a positive. Next slide.
Sharon, can I just make one point about these scanning tours? The team that went are the folks at Metro who have been at Metro, who have responsibility for things like vehicle maintenance and facilities maintenance and operations and finance. There are a team here that are responsible for those functions within the system today that are going to be responsible for BRT in the future. They aren't the consultant team who has, some of them are standing up now. There they are. There they are. Our consultants who design the project, they design BRT. That's what they do all for a living. And they do this in all these different cities, and they're very familiar. This is our Metro team going to these transit systems and talking to their peers. So they're talking to the vehicle maintenance people in Portland or in Milwaukee. They're talking to the finance folks in Florida or in King County Metro. What did this do to your budget? What did this do to your fleet? And so these are the folks that are the project owners here. And the idea was to make sure that they are ready to receive this project and own it and make smart decisions. That we've said it all along. We are not new to BRT. We're some of the last in the country to do this, and so we're going to do it well. And they've been a great team, and they've been challenging us in terms of making sure we do this right.
I have a question. I love that that we took the time to do this and learn from our peers. I'm curious if the city employees have received any. Did anybody from the city go on the trip? Have they received some kind of training? Are they talking to their peers? Like with that partnership, their involvement in this is so important, and I'm hoping they're learning alongside us.
Yes and yes.
Okay, great.
We did have the transit coordinator go with us on the trips, and he was able to get names and numbers of people that he has subsequently set up meetings to have individually and talk with various people in the city organization about things that they had questions about. So basically connecting the people who are doing the same things together and getting that information exchange.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, it really was a wonderful trip, and it was a lot of great team building on our part. Everyone who attended, we had long, hot days, and we had horrible travel conditions. We drove back from Milwaukee, Wisconsin in the middle of the night. That was an awesome team building experience. But we learned how to think on our feet and make it back here to be at work the next morning. So it was great. Great info.
I have, Sharon, if you could enlighten me a little bit more on this. A 20% spare ratio is not enough for a new subfleet. In my mind, that I feel like that means more expenses because we need
more buses.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. Is that?
Yes, I'm sorry. When I tripped over the boarding and alighting, I didn't hit that bullet. Yes, that was one thing that we heard from agencies that didn't have other 60-footers in their fleet, was that if you're only going to have 12 buses in your fleet and you have one in for preventative maintenance and one gets in a car accident and you need 10 to keep on the road every day, you're going to have a problem. If you have another accident or another vehicle that needs some type of maintenance.
Yeah, 20% is what the federal government, what Federal Transit Administration says should be your spare ratio. And when you have 300 buses, that's fine. But if you have a subfleet, right, and you only have 12 of those vehicles, 20%, what we heard from all of these agencies, it's not enough. So we have to think about, do we build a few additional vehicles into the project? Will FTA pay for it? If they don't, do we pay for it? These are exactly the questions that we want to be asking now, not after this thing is in service. So that's what was meant by that bullet. It's a great point.
Yeah, and each vehicle runs about 1.3. We hope that's a worst case scenario number. We've included a lot of extras in there to make sure that it's a high bar. And we have worked on getting that number up from a federal perspective to 13. So it's the cost of one additional vehicle would get us a 40% spare ratio. And then once Hamilton vehicles are purchased, we would then have even more in the fleet.
And just to be clear, none of the rest of our fleet can run these routes because of boarding and lighting and maybe several other issues, right?
Right. Mainly the platform height is the primary reason. We have a couple of stations that we have that left-hand boarding. And so that also means our regular 40-foot buses cannot serve those stations as well.
Thank you. All of these important points.
Yeah.
Any
Lots
other
of
questions?
details. Yep. And the last slide is the timeline that you've seen. We continue to trek along. We are doing well. Hopefully we will get this FTA environmental review completed and move on.
We're very far down that path on the top. It's amazing. It struck me when I was looking at the deck. I was like, wow, we're here. And thank you for your leadership through that.
Yeah.
Really
You're so
appreciate it.
welcome. Yeah, we could be 6 months away from construction. It's exciting.
Striking. Thanks again. Andy, progress and priorities.
All right, thank you. Just again, this is a report where we like to check in on things that are happening in between meetings and what's happening behind the scenes. You may recall that we spoke with the board probably about 9 months ago, where the Federal Transit Administration was demanding repayment for the right-of-way that we purchased in the 1990s to build passenger rail. We have been working with them nonstop since that time to try to negotiate a reasonable solution to that. Happy to report that after multiple rounds of appraisals and reappraisals, they have reduced that debt obligation to us by $25 million. We were sitting at around $49 million, and we have that now down to closer to 24. Of that 24, about 7.5 is slated for the Oasis Bike Trail project, and working with the city and other partners to find a way through that. About 4.5 of that is right-of-way that doesn't have any encumbrances on it or easements on it that we can just sell at market value. And then we have about 12 left that we're trying to come up with a plan. We didn't want to come up with a plan until we had that final number, and we just learned about this in the last 30 days. So we're working on a plan with both the FTA and our local partners to figure out what's the next step for these last pieces of railroad right-of-way. So I think that we've done a great job of minimizing and mitigating the financial challenge that we have. We have until September of 2027 to make those final payments to FTA. We've already made 2. So we have time to work on what is the strategy for the remaining parcels of land, and we'll bring a plan back to the board when we have clarity on what that path looks like and get your feedback. We also had talked about at the board 6 months ago, if you recall, we refreshed our mission, vision, values, and strategic plan. We said at that time that we would make this a living document. And the cadence that you all suggested is that we come to you in September with some updates on that plan and maybe potential tweaks, what has changed, what has been completed, needs to be taken off the plan, anything new that needs to be added on. So you'll see that in September. We'll start at the Planning and Ops Committee and walk through what has changed in the last 6 months and how that might impact minor adjustments to our strategic plan, so we can continue to refer to it as our roadmap. The other thing that will begin here in earnest is the bargaining of our next labor agreement with ATU 627. That agreement expires at the end of October. They have made notification to us that they'd like to begin negotiating the predecessor agreement in our next contract. So we'll be sitting down very shortly with them to start that process. We work through the labor committee, the labor relations committee of this board. So we'll be convening them here in the next couple of weeks to talk about the landscape and our plan for negotiations. And the labor committee will report up to the full board about progress there. We highlighted the Adopt a Stop partnership, which has been a success. Again, this is Keep Cincinnati Beautiful is really the engine behind this. And if we go to the next page, I think some pretty interesting stats. 250 volunteers have contributed 508 hours in cleaning up bus stops and corridors in their communities, which helps the experience. If you remember when we went back to our passenger survey information, one of the things we didn't rate really well on was the cleanliness of bus stops, and we have 4,000 of them. So it takes a village, as you mentioned before, and really, really appreciate the partnership with Keep Cincinnati Beautiful. The last piece is was already mentioned that Metro Now launches this Sunday with an event tomorrow, and then State of Metro will occur before our next board meeting. So mark your calendars for that. Want to just thank the team. I think everything that you have heard today is a whole lot about the teamwork and how incredible they are, what they do. So appreciate them and all of their work, and happy to take any questions.
I think we started this meeting saying it was a relatively simple agenda, but it's really striking how much we've gone through and what's going on, and some amazing news throughout. So thank you for taking the board through that, and all the work that goes on behind it. I have to say the FTA news, don't snooze on that. That was a pretty big deal and pretty big accomplishment. So thank you. Is there any new business?
Two quick things. One is if a group wants to be considered for one of those 4 changes you were talking about in December, service something, what should they do? Come in, make a presentation?
They're always welcome to come to the board
Okay.
for a presentation, but there are other methods.
Yeah, we receive requests from the community all the time about bus service, right? So if there's anybody out there that has questions about routing or service or time of day or accessing a particular place, have them reach out to us. They can reach out to our planning department. On our website, there's an email address specifically for bus stops and bus routes. If they can't find that, just send them directly to our staff here, and we'll take care of that request.
Thank you. The second thing, I heard on the news where Mount Washington was selling some property. Heard about that. They have 4 acres of land that they want to sell for $1. And
Camp
Washington.
Camp Washington. I said Mount Washington. Camp Washington. And they say it could be used for housing, business, or parking. And so I was thinking about Metro. So it might be something, I don't know.
Look into it.
Okay. And you have to have your proposal in by September the 4th.
Awesome.
Okay. Any other new business? Thank you, Casey. Hearing none, I think we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening.